One thing that we'll discuss later, one of our largest revenues and thing that we're most known for is training. So many facilities focus on open play and court rentals. Lisa's in charge and started and is one of our master instructors and actually doing a training this weekend. But we train trainers, we train players. Lots of places you can go around the city and play. Not many places you can go around and learn. So we make sure we have certain courts that are dedicated full-time for training.
That's a huge privilege to be able to do that. I know because people are fighting for court space, and you're able to have training space, a court space just for training. I think that's a really cool thing. That's very unique.
And it's a priority.
Yeah.
And we appreciate ownerships allowing us to make it a priority.
When we opened, we found that there were many facilities to play, but not a lot of people to teach. And it's easy to go play at a park, go play at the country club, but how do you learn? How do you get better? And we love every time a new facility opens up, we love it, especially the entertainments, where they're getting new people involved, and then they say, hey, what do I do next? How do I learn? Where do I buy a paddle? And they come to Pickleball Charlotte for that.
That's great.
And you think about in 2019 when we opened, you asked about our first location, and Genius over here said, I've got this amazing facility that's empty all day. Let me think of what I can do with that. Well, boom, let's turn this into a daytime and nighttime pickleball facility. So we've got these 14 courts. At that point in 2019, there were over 50 other locations that you could go play, but not one of them was a full service facility. We were the first in Charlotte. That meant we could do everything from play to leagues to tournaments to instruction to corporate events. So at that point, Alan being the owner and me being a one-man show, as director, I needed to set a North Star. So what is my North Star going to be? And at that point, we decided we're going to be a training academy. So my husband and I, who was one of our first instructors as well, decided to create a path to be the best instructors we could be. And we are, out of 22 in the country, we are 2 master teaching professionals with IPTPA. So I think creating the facility, brainchild here, and then developing our North Star of being a training academy has allowed us, that builds everything else. You teach them how to play, they want a place to play, then they want open play, and then they want to be in a league, and then they want to be in a tournament. And it just sort of helped us build not only our membership base, but I think our programming base.
That's great.
So, thank you.
So how did you guys decide that was going to be the North Star? Was it based on projections, or how did you guys decide that the training facility was going to be your MO?
For me, there was nowhere else in the city you could do that. At that point, I'm sure you've heard of the USA Pickleball Ambassador Program. So we had ambassadors, a few located around the city and surrounding towns, that would just teach people how to play. Well, we wanted not only to teach them how to play, but also share the passion that allowed him to want to create this business and me to want to develop this business. And I was a teacher by trade at one of our local private schools. So for me, my love of pickleball and my love of teaching kind of merged into one location. And I knew it would create the future. Like if you develop these players, as in any sport, you've got your groundwork, and I love being the first one to get my hands on them. That's what I felt. He may think differently.
Our background, my wife and I met playing volleyball at the University of North Carolina. She was on the golf team, I was on the volleyball team. We have the largest girls volleyball club in the Southeast with 6,000 athletes. And what we learned early on is athletes aren't just naturally good. They have to be trained. And so we spend a lot of time for the last 30 years teaching athletes how to play volleyball. Not necessarily the highest level. They're always, they're going to get their training. It's the 12-year-old that wants to learn how to play the correct way so they can move up through the process and go on and play in school or their college or life. We felt pickleball is the same way. It's a relatively new sport. Yes, it's been around since the 60s, but not a lot of people knew about it. And even more importantly, a lot of people didn't know how to play correctly. And you have a lot of tennis coaches, nothing against tennis coaches, teaching people how to play pickleball, maybe not necessarily the right way. They just knew better how to play than the player. And we wanted to make sure that we were giving all players an opportunity to learn the correct way to play, because that would grow the sport. And we call it a grassroots. If you teach people how to play pickleball, then, and if they like it, they'll at least consider us when they're ready to rent their court or have their corporate outing or have their birthday party.
That's great. And so with the training facility, North Star, does that mean both training players and training coaches? Does it mean a mix of that? Does it, what all does that entail for, someone who's playing, someone who might want to coach, someone who might want to be, some sort of ref or, something like
Right.
that?
That's interesting that you say that. And I think one of the attractions to me as an instructor was the multi-generational aspect of pickleball. So we were hosting some of the first junior programming in Charlotte, as well as adult programming as well. So I think too, then it evolved. If you love pickleball like we do, I guess I look at this as a business. I want to succeed, but I also want anyone else out there instructing in the city, the state, or the country to also be doing that right. So after about 3.5 years of being open, we thought, let's make this happen here in Charlotte. People were having to travel really far distances. Stephanie Lane in Tennessee actually was the closest place you could actually go get certified. And then Jenny Butler started in Charlotte, and we were right behind her with IPTPA. And we really think it's important, not only that we help these instructors be the best they can be, but also give them guidance. Now you've got this certification. How can you go out and do this well? And there's actually more markets to tap on that. And my vision is, gosh, now you've got your certification. Now we could offer, instructor clinics on actually how to run clinics more effectively and help them teach better. We actually, several of us are aligned with a company called Pickleball in Paradise, and we travel all over the Caribbean hosting camps, training, stay and play type vacations. But now we're on board with these companies like Sandals, and we're actually certifying their pros, their tennis pros and pickleball pros, on how to be better instructors. So yeah, it is a passion. It's hard to stop, but I think it's just full circle of what we want to do here. We want to not only run the best club, we want to have the best people and the best instructors, and that makes the best players.
Just to clarify, I have never taught a pickleball or volleyball or soccer a day in my life. I'm just a rec player in all the sports.
Well,
people like Lisa are the experts. I just play.
That's great. Well, it sounds like that is a very unique thing that you have going. That you have so many players involved, but now you have training for the players, you have training for the instructors, all the way up. So, have you found that players who come in to your facility are then interested in becoming an instructor? Are you finding that it's kind of a ladder up?
I would say yes, that tomorrow out of my 21 people, 6 of them are current members that are looking to do. Sometimes it's more with just youth. Sometimes it's maybe they're involved in their church.
And some are the referees too, referee clinics.
We do. We're one of maybe the only place in Charlotte. We have Dick and Desiree Osmond that are USA pickleball referees. They work for PPA. They actually hold referee training courses here and help our local people become certified to be currently just level 1 referees in pickleball. But again, with the programming that we offer, it gives them a home base of our 4 locations where they can go practice and get their training. So we're really trying to tap these markets that you don't see other places. And when I say full service, I think you're getting the vision. It's truly full service pickleball, not just play.
Well, the challenge from a facility management standpoint, facility owner, is balancing the court usage. I mean, there's only so many courts available, and there's only so many hours in the day. And so we spend a lot of time looking at our pie chart or looking at our circular chart and figuring out a phone call comes in, it's a group outing, it's a corporate outing, it's a court rental, somebody wants open play, somebody wants to run a tournament, Lisa wants to do a instructional, we want clinics, we want lessons. And there's only so many hours in a day, and so you have to look at it and decide, how are we going to allocate our resources? And the key is maximizing court usage. And if you can maximize court usage to be as great as you can, then everybody wins. But it comes down sometimes is the different divisions of our company are fighting for, but no, I need a court here and I need a court there. So we have to really sit down and decide, and we continue to evolve and change, is what's most important to us. What is the thing that we want to be known for? What's the thing? And it's got to be a combination.
Yeah.
And we can talk about that a little later when we talk about open play and court rentals and memberships, because all that comes into play when you're trying to figure out your master plan for the business model.
That's right. Well, that was going to be my next question anyway. So how do you guys handle your memberships? With the 4 locations, are they all the same membership model? And what does that look like?
I'm going to be very careful what I say here, and you decide whether you edit this, but I'm against memberships. The only reason we have memberships is because that's what all the software companies call them in their system. They call them memberships. Court reserve, play by point, whatever you have, it's called a membership. You'll hear me say a lot today, pickleball is a holdover from tennis. And people's doing their memberships are tennis members. The racket club memberships are tennis memberships. I believe pickleball should have its own identity. I tell new people asking me about memberships, I say, don't offer them. I said, unless you need them. Because memberships really, yes, it really is giving discounted play to certain people. And if you don't need discounted play to certain people, why are you offering it? There's pros. If you're a small club and you want to have a sense of community and you want to have ownership and you want to have recurring revenue, sure, if you're a small private club and that's your goal, then sure, memberships are good, like tennis memberships. But if your goal is, in our case, we have 60 some courts, we have 4 locations, we want to be open to everybody. 40% of our revenue is from non-members, meaning, and we looked at over 100 locations when we came up with ours, and every membership program we saw, you needed to have basically a law degree, because it had so many parameters. It had so many columns of what it included. And our business model has been for 30 years is KISS, keep it simple, stupid. We wanted something that was easy to explain, but we also didn't want initiation fees. We wanted you to be able to cancel anytime you didn't think it was of value. We don't want to be a private club. We had to make a decision. Do we want to be a provider for a small group of people for a lot of play, or a lot of people for smaller play? And we decided, based on our background in the volleyball and the family entertainment, that we didn't want to be exclusive. We want to have everybody come in for lessons. We want everybody to come in for court rentals. Everybody have a birthday. But we provided a membership because that's what everybody, that's what the software has. But it really is a discount card. Our membership is simple. If you want to save a little bit of money on open play and court rentals, you buy a membership. If you don't want to save a little bit of money on open play and court rentals, there's no reason to have one. And as I said before, 40% of the revenue is from those non-members. Our membership, I may be a little biased. It's the simplest one I've seen. First of all, you don't have to be a member. But if you want to save $5 on open play, you can pay $100 a year, and you'll save $5 every open play. You want to save a little, if you want to pay $50 a month, you still save $5 on open play, but you get 7 free sessions. You want to pay $100 a month, you still save $5 on open play, but you get 14 free sessions a month. That's it. It's either $100 a year, $50 a month, or $100 a month. Cancel anytime. No initiation fees. Sign up for it on the internet. Don't sign up for it on the software. What that allows people is for them to make decisions of whether it saves them $5 on open play and $5 on court rental if they choose to be a member. What we have found is that allows new people to come in and try it out. They pay the $5 more for open play. What we currently, the Pickleball Charlotte, we have a wait list. We don't take any more monthly memberships. We're at 1,000 monthly members and 2,000 annual members. We've capped it at 3,000 members. Still 40%, as I said, revenue comes from the non-members. We think it's a good program, but there again, we are trying to target a large database of people. But to answer your question, is all the facilities are the same. All of our court rentals, indoors and outdoors, are the same price. We don't have prime time rates. We don't want to basically have somebody gouge somebody because they work and they can't play during the day. So we don't want to have daytime play be cheaper than nighttime play. We find, especially since COVID, a lot of people work remote. A lot of people prefer to play during the day. So all of our pricing's the same across all of our facilities, all of our indoor and outdoor. The only difference is you can save a couple bucks if you want to be a member.
That's great. And so with the members and non-members sharing, 40 and 60, that's a pretty good split, even very close to even. So how do you handle the court's time, and how do you handle the programming around, do members only, can members reserve court time only, or how does that work? Is it mostly walk-ins?
Once again, the terminology members in most other clubs means that the members get special privileges. The members have towel serve. They sign up earlier than other people. They get special privileges. That is what most people think of members as. We do not think of that. All ours is discounted open play and discounted court rentals. That's it. It's if you want to pay a fee up front, you will save money every time you sign up for open play or court rentals, but it gives you no other benefits. And if people come up and say, well, I just don't think it's worth the $100 a year or the $50 a month, we say, well, just click cancel online. It's perfectly fine. You still can play here. We still love you. Still play here. It's a business decision whether you think it's better to save a little bit of money up front. We love the discount card or memberships because it saves us on credit card fees. And one of the things that we like about the software, Court Reserve, that we use is most places are charging a transaction fee. Every time you pay $10 for open play, you're paying a transaction fee to the credit card vendor. Well, if you pay $50 a month and you get 7 free sessions, that's saving 7 transactions. You pay $100 a month, one time you're paying a transaction fee, and you get 14 sessions. So it saves us, the vendor, on tremendous amount. And that's one of the reasons we did it, because being small companies, which Pickleball usually are, the credit card companies are charging the normal rate, the 3% or whatever, but they're also charging a transaction fee. So we like to have people put money on their account and then use that or put it on their membership. And that's the reason we do that. But to answer your question is all of our online registrations are first come, first serve. It's first come, first serve. We have our open play. You can register 14 days in advance. Court rentals, you can register 10 days in advance. Some of our instructors, we give abilities to register 12 days in advance so they can get a little bit court preferences. Of course, our outings and our tournaments and our in-house people can book things a lot earlier. One thing that we'll talk about later, maybe it's at the end, but the advice I give to people, and people ask our marketing strategy, our sales strategy, is we like to think of ourselves as Amazon. If you could put your calendar together further in advance, where people have the option to go online and click and buy instead of making a phone call or research, is the more options you have online for people to buy things, whether it's a clinic, a lesson, a court rental, a group outing, a league, if they could just search, click, and buy, you don't have to take phone calls. But the key is master planning that calendar, getting those parameters set up, getting those things online. In this day and age, people don't want to make a phone call. They don't want to email. They want to search, click, buy, show up, and play. And that is the biggest thing that I think that we're really good at, is when you go online, there's hundreds of things to choose from at all of our locations, and you just click on them. And once again, people know the parameters, and you'll hit refresh the 10 days before to try to get your courts. And wait lists are the best part of our software. We'll have 100 people in a session, and we'll have 50 on a wait list. 22 half of those will still get in because things change. Anyway.
That's really good info. That's really good. So you mentioned some sales and marketing strategies. What have you found with those two things that has worked well?
Marketing, we kind of adopted Kevin Costner's philosophy, Field of Dreams. Build it, they will come. I mean, pickleball. I mean, when the Kardashians are playing and it's a Super Bowl commercial, we don't have to do much marketing. We just have to make sure things are online for people to buy. You know, sometimes people say we're in the sales and marketing business. I like to think we're in the order taking business. Right now, the market is so crazy, we don't have to convince people to play pickleball. We just have to make sure there's things online for them to sign up for. And so our goal is, you know, build it, they will come, and provide the activities. And our strategy is pretty simple. When people come into our building, they're most likely paying us money to come in and have fun. Our job is to make sure they leave happy. And if they can leave happy, smiling, the word of mouth will do the rest. So we just want to make sure people are having a good time. And the way we do that is making sure our facilities are clean, make sure our staff is friendly, and make sure we're providing a good service. And it's not that hard. People are coming here to play pickleball. So I have one little quick story that I'll tell of a gentleman that's one of the most well-known tennis players in North Carolina Hall of Fame, 74 years old. 3 years ago, he picked up pickleball. And I asked him why. He said he would leave his tennis court and he'd see people throwing rackets and being mad and not having a good time. And he'd look over at the pickleball court and everybody's laughing and they're tapping paddles and they just look like they're having fun. And he said, I need more fun in my life. And he totally stopped playing tennis, and now he trains every day. He develops his own paddles now, body helix paddles, and he just loves playing pickleball because it's fun.
We taught him to play.
And it's not, and therefore it's not that hard. You just got to make sure that there's things for people to sign up for.
Great. So it sounds like what you're saying is your sales and marketing strategy is very closely related to providing what they need and then providing a good experience when they get here.
A great experience.
How do you make sure that happens? What trainings do you put in place for your staff? What player experience do you want them to have? And how do you make sure that happens?
Well, the first goal is hire employees that are pickleball people. Hire players. You know, if we don't just do this for a living. We actually play the sport, and we want to make sure our staff is educated on pickleball, and they're also educated about having fun. But we mostly promote. Most of our staff comes to us because they play here. So and we also think of all of our staff not as just employees, but family. I mean, we are a family-owned business for the 30 years. My wife and I, we play pickleball. Lisa and her husband both work here. We have a number of people that are, I think we have our company, our Sports Connection, the parent company, has about 250 employees. Pickleball division has about 20 employees. About 14 of them are full-time employees, and then we have lots of instructors.
So you mentioned you hire pickleball people. Do you mean by that you hire people who play here, or do you hire? Is that one of the questions that you ask? Are you into pickleball? Like, how do you make sure you hire the right person?
Well, our business philosophy for since we started is pretty simple. We do what we call auditions. You know, we have a lady that's actually has played some professional pickleball. Her and her husband are getting ready to move to town, looking for a job. We say, well, when you get here, come play. Come play a little bit. Come play with some of our staff. Come play with our customers. Maybe you could pick up a couple hours at the front counter one day and audition. And then you could pick up a couple more hours and pick up a couple more hours. And then you could try to do a couple of lessons, because we want to basically people to feel comfortable that this is a good fit for them and it's a good fit for us. We never hire somebody and say, we'll help you pay your moving expenses and move to town and you have a full-time job. Everybody starts as a part-time employee. Most of them start probably on the courts doing some instruction, or Lisa has them in being an assistant to help with a big corporate outing or a big group outing. We get to know them first. They feel comfortable, and then you get more hours and more hours, and a lot of those people will then become full-time salary people, move up the chain.
That's great.
I would agree with that. When you mentioned earlier, like my biggest piece of advice would be to surround yourself with good people. And that starts from ownership down to the girl sitting behind the counter. But absolutely outside of our social media presence that we have in town, I honestly think the rate of return that we have, not only in clinics and lessons, but players, has to do with us doing that, exactly surrounding ourselves with great people. And for me personally, directing the instructors, I really don't care what their certification is. You're going to go through the same process of our training and our shadowing and team teaching before we release them, you know, to the wolves, to our audience. I take it very personally. I think we consider every employee we hire here as a direct reflection upon us, and we actually want nothing but the very best. And we have turned people away and we have welcomed people, but anyone that steps on our court or behind our front counter is going to be the best representation of our vision.
Can I
that we
tell a
can
2-minute
find.
side story?
Go for it.
No. So when my wife and I were looking to add new volleyball courts to our facility, the courts had warped. We went around to a local gym. Lisa and Dick and Desiree Osmond, a lot
Who
of
are here, by the
played
way.
on a gym
Yeah.
floor here in town, and we went to look at their volleyball floor, and we saw these people playing this little yellow ball, and we're like, "What the heck is this?" This was 6 years ago. Never heard of it. And we were there to look at the volleyball floor, and we saw pickleball. So we inquired to U.S. Pickleball and got in contact with Dick and Desiree Osmond. They invited us out to this gymnasium to play. And I played with Desiree, and my wife Kelly played with Dick, and they taught us about the kitchen, and ball has to bounce. And we thought we were pretty good athletes. My wife plays a lot of tennis, and we thought we were pretty good because we were playing with them. And they were telling us, no, don't go in the kitchen. After about 6 or 7 games, we learned about paddle stack, and we met a lot of people on this gym floor. My wife and I challenged Dick and Desiree to a game. And they're 70 plus years old, and they've been playing for a long time. But you know, we got this. They beat us 11-0 and pickled us. But
The beauty of
because
pickleball.
they would lob the ball to us when I'm standing up front, like returning a tennis serve, right? I mean, my wife's serving, I'm up front. He did to me in a kit, you know, you can't do that. And the kitchen, and God, we were so frustrated. But now we knew it because we'd seen what they were doing. They were toying with us. These older players were toying with us. So we challenged them one more time. They beat us 11-0 again. And they told us, they said, this will be the last time you'll ever beat us. You got to learn to play. You got to take a clinic. You got to take a lesson. And since then, we have played quite a few times. But the story goes is they sent over a lady to my office a few days later, this one right here, because she was a representative for one of the paddle companies,
Paddle Tech.
and she wanted to get her paddles on consignment in our volleyball center because she'd heard we're going to tape some lines down on some courts for some pickleball. Word spread quickly. 4 hours later, when she came into after school one day
Paddle deal.
to do a
Yeah.
paddle deal, 4 hours later, I think you said you called your husband and said, I think I'm going to retire from teaching for 30, how many years? 36 years from teaching and go be a pickleball director at some volleyball center. And everything from that it was a result of basically local people that have connections that feel right, and since then we've brought a lot of people in. But that's how Lisa got hired, is 4 hours of and you realize I didn't know what pickleball was, and she educated
He has
me.
the brains.
She educated
I was
me,
the beauty.
and
He was the
so
brains.
so
We had
but
it.
since then we are very fortunate. And I mean, Sports Connection has have employees that have been with me for 29 years.
Yeah.
We have some employees that have been here, and I ask sometimes is why people have been here so long, and you know it's I think a lot of it has to do with the culture, it has to do with the family environment. But we have a cliche that we say to our employees: you're an employee for a short time, you're a customer for life. And because you know Why would you, if you're sitting here working for us and doing birthday parties and you're eventually going to have kids and come yourself, if you're teaching today for pickleball, you're going to still come here and play. So we like to have people feel like it's okay to leave. It's okay to move on to the next goal. I mean, I was talking about Will Owens, Tim's son. He was here for 2 years. He cut his teeth. This one taught him how to teach. He's now the head pro down at their facility in St. Augustine. So we have a lot of stories of people that cut their teeth at our facilities and then move on to be head pros or play on the tour or just do normal stuff.
One word, passion.
Passion.
One word.
Okay.
I mean, from the groundwork, from building our first court ever, our true pickleball court, to today, passion.
That's great.
So you talked about earlier a little bit, Alan, on where you see this game going. You see it kind of moving towards it's an indoor sport. So the question is, as a pickleball club owner, how should you go about thinking about that, and how should that affect your business, and maybe why you think it's an indoor sport?
Well, like I said, we discussed earlier, I think pickleball started on a tennis court. I mean, it's clearly, somebody lowered a tennis net and they came up with some balls, and then you started seeing people putting lines on tennis courts. And then you started seeing people put temporary nets on either side of the tennis courts. And it evolved on a tennis court. But I believe now it's starting to develop its own following, its own paddles, its own nets, its own things. And I don't know about what association is going to be controlling it and who's going to control the paddles and who's going to make these big decisions. We don't have a governing body, kind of a little bit of a battle going on there. But the indoor is a controlled environment. And I think you're going to start seeing more and more pro teams playing indoors because the sponsors don't want rainouts. They want to resurface their tennis courts. They have a controlled environment. They can charge admission. They can do music. And as these more and more larger facilities continue to go away, to be built, the sponsors and the pros are going to want to play indoors. And then from a business owner, there's not many private businesses that have outdoor courts. We have 16 outdoor courts only because our indoor courts are successful. Not too many people are building outdoor courts first and then building indoor courts. You've got the rain, you've got the cold, you've got the wind. And so what you'll find is, I think the outdoor courts construction will start to lessen. Sure, your neighborhoods are going to still have it, your resorts are still going to have it, your facilities are still going to have it as overflow, but that won't be their focus. It's hard to make money. It's hard to charge people for outdoor court usage when your tax dollars have city courts and neighborhoods.
So I want to talk a little bit more about revenue. What would you guys say are your top revenue sources? And were there any surprises along the way where you kind of found some things that worked out really well for you?
We talked earlier about training. I mean, even though training is on our pie chart, is one of the things that we dedicate courts to first to get more people involved, it is not necessarily the highest revenue producer because it does involve labor. It doesn't involve a less number of people per court, but it's still important to us. A lot of our training happens during the afternoons at odd times. But what surprised me was, because when we got into this, we didn't really know much. There wasn't a playbook on how to run a pickleball business. But Open Play is the most popular program that we do. A lot of different people have a different definition of what Open Play is. Open Play to us is a program where people can sign up as an individual, usually by a specific rating level, and they come play and paddle stack with other individuals. Our job as facilities to make sure that the number of people signing up for that session is small enough to give people good value. We like to think anywhere from 7 to 9 games in a 2-hour session is a good value. The way you do that is you maximize the number of players. But Open Play doesn't involve having 3 other friends, doesn't involve you signing up early, doesn't involve somebody making a reservation. It's an impulse buy. You go online, you buy it. So Open Play is our most popular, it's our largest number of people playing. Court rentals, I was surprised most facilities, tennis centers and other golf clubs and stuff, you have to reserve a court. You have to reserve a court, and you have to find 3 people. You have to reserve a tee time for golf. Court rentals, I was surprised. I didn't think they would be as large as they are because it takes an organizer. It takes somebody doing it. But because of the open play and having hundreds of people playing a day, people meet each other. They meet people. And like pickleball is one reason it's so popular, is because it's an opportunity for people to socialize and meet people they didn't know. So the open play basically gets people into the facility. They start playing every Tuesday at 9 to 11. They meet people. Next thing you know, they say, hey, let's get 4 or 5 of us together and let's get a court rental or a player block, and let's do this every single week. And then and it works. And so what's happened is open play used to be the largest revenue. Now court rentals has taken over because of that group of people that open play has created. And then our third biggest revenue is the membership model, which we once again don't think of it as memberships, is with prepaid open play. Because if you took the memberships, which once again I don't think anybody's doing a membership unless they want to save money on open play, you can almost call it prepaid open play. So if you look the memberships added in with our open play, that's 50% of our revenue.
The player blocks are a big thing that you understand. So basically you're reserving courts on a weekly basis at the same time every week, and you've got a number of people in your block, and only those people can sign up. For example, you may have a block for 2 hours a week from 1:30 to 3:30 for 12 people, but there's 20 in the group. So 12 of those 20 are signing up. You're guaranteed to get that court time with those people, and a lot of times that's our higher level players.
Because when you look at open play is a bunch of individuals signing up individually and playing. You look at court rentals, it's one person signing up for a court and inviting their friends.
Yeah.
A player block is a merger of those two. It basically lets you, instead of one person having to pay the fee and getting everybody to Venmo you the money, it allows your group to reserve a court, tell us the group of names, put it on the computer, but each person can sign up for that group and pay individually, and you can track who's coming and what's coming. So it's a combination of open play and court rentals without having that one master person having to sit there and get their text blown up all day long about, can you make it? Can you make it? I can't make it. Can you make it? Can I make it? It's very popular.
That's great. And that's all in your system, like you said.
Yeah,
So
All
they can
it's
go do
it's
it
all
online.
Court
we
reserve is
we
wonderful.
we don't
Yeah.
we like to sit back and watch orders come in instead of taking phone calls and emails. The phone calls and emails we get are mostly talking about, how do I get a player rating so I can get into a certain session, or how do I get a different rating, or how do I book a corporate outing, or how do I possibly sign up for a private lesson. Or a lot of what we do a lot of group lessons where there's a family or a business or a school or somebody that wants to come in and set up a series of clinics or lessons with us. We do a lot of
boot camps. We do 4 and 6 week instructional series that run 6 weeks, 2 hours every Tuesday, for example, and we'll have 60, 70 people in a Tuesday morning. We've got all the courts running that progressive instructional series. So really, interestingly enough, it's rentals, blocks, open play, memberships, training, in that order.
And I don't know if you'll ask it somewhere down the road, but tournaments is something that we get asked a lot of, and we kind of we don't focus on tournaments as much. We have a lot of round robins every week. We have 20 round robins every week. There are many things. They're 2 hours. There's 9 players on 2 courts for 2 hours. You play 8 games. You have a winner. You get a T-shirt and you go home. It's not having to get a hotel room and drive and pay $80 and have to sit around and play. But tournaments, from our volleyball experience, is what happens is when you host tournaments, it's a lot of work, and you're displacing your local community, your people that have supported you and that practice and play there on a regular basis. And then all of a sudden you're saying, oh, now 1 out of every other weekend or 2 weekends a month, we're going to have a tournament. And now that we're going to bring in out-of-town people, and you're not gonna be able to take advantage of your membership, and you're not gonna be able to rent courts like you've been doing because we got all these out of town people coming in. And what a lot of facilities are starting to realize, they've only been a few years, they're starting to get their membership base, because they are private clubs, are revolting because they signed up for a membership, they paid an initiation fee, and yet the courts aren't available as often because, but they'll say, but you can play in the tournament, you can pay the $80 and play. We like to provide opportunities for our players to practice together, to take training, to do coach gameplay to get better, and then go to someone else's facility and play the tournament and trash their parking lot and trash their bathrooms. But anyway, but we do have 4 to 6 large tournaments a year. Most of the tournaments we do, we partner with organizations who run tournaments. They come in and run the tournaments. We do a rev share. They're the experts at running tournaments. They have the software. We provide the facility. It's a great partnership. We have a lot of mini tournaments. We have the
March Madness,
the March
this
Madness
month,
and the reindeer round robin, and but these are targeted to our local community and our members, not really marketing to the outside world. We get a lot of inquiries from the big pros and the people wanting to, because we have the courts in Charlotte, but they want us to pay them money to host their tournament at our place, and we're like, but we'll bring revenue to your city. I'm like, but that's what our tax dollars are supposed to do, not the private business. So, but we do host a few because we do want to provide our customers an opportunity to play locally.
The big experience.
Well, it sounds like you guys are very focused on your players, your customers, and their good experience, their great experience on multiple levels. I'm curious about, you mentioned your background with the family entertainment, and I know of corporate events or like smaller rental events are a big part of that. So can you tell me about, do you guys offer that as a service to people if they wanted to rent out the facility, or a corporate event or a private event, something like that? Would you offer that?
We're huge in that. I mean, our background is, we discussed, is the family entertainment business, and we do 350 birthday parties a month. We're all about providing an experience for players and for families. Pickleball is one of the most social sports out there. Companies that used to do golf outings are doing pickleball outings. Companies that used to do retreats for certain sports, or go bowling or something, they're doing pickleball. But what they want is different. Some of them want to do a tournament. Some of them want to do a instructional league. Some of them want to have different formats, and we're good at identifying what it is your organization group. A lot of fundraisers. A lot of people are doing fundraisers. They need help organizing that in the silent auction. We have a couple of our staff members who that's what they specialize in of doing corporate outings. Now, once again, you've got to balance that with your regular activities, so you can't have too many of them at one time. A lot of the businesses do them during the weekday. A lot of them are on weekend nights. We're not open real late like a lot of facilities on the weekends. We're not like a lot of the entertainment places that are open till 2 in the morning. So we do have that, that 8 to 10 p.m. time on Fridays and Saturday and Sunday nights that we could do outings. Our business is a little different than, I like to compare some of the entertainment places out there to Topgolf. If you want to have a great social experience and hit a golf ball, you go to Topgolf. But if you want to play golf, you go to a golf course or the golf course. A lot of the entertainment places, are getting the people involved into the sport. They're finding out they love it. They're eating a lot of food and drinking a lot of drinks, but now they want to play 3 times a week. They come to a place like Pickleball Charlotte. We have beer and wine. One of our locations has food, but nobody comes here to eat, drink. They come here to play pickleball for 2 to 3 hours and then have a drink, and that's the biggest difference. So we allow our corporate outings to bring outside food if they choose to, which a lot of them want that ability. Instead of being forced to eat our food, they can bring their outside food. Our instructors, we have a large database of instructors that can be brought in. to coordinate or instruct those
Which we
organizations.
do a lot of that. I would find most of it is running tournaments. You know, they'll have 60 or 70 people
They wanna
at
compete.
various skill levels, and they want a tournament, and they don't know how to go about doing that. We've hosted the Panthers coaching staff. We've had Harris Teeter corporate, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. It's just countless. If there's a name in Charlotte, they have been here at one of our locations at some time doing something. And I think it's a win-win for them. We know how to do this. This is our job. They want the experience without the worry.
Well,
So
Steve
it's so
Smith, a
wonderful.
former receiver
Yeah.
for the Panthers, he does his foundation rents out the facility once a year and has the Isner and Jack Sox and people come and
Yeah.
play, and they do a bit. It's for his foundation. So we do a lot of that, but we also do a lot of outreach programs outside of the facility. We get hired by, like you talk about the Panthers. During training camp one year, they had us come to the stadium and tape down pickleball courts on the concourse at the stadium because they wanted all the players to have a little Olympics, and pickleball was one of the sports they had. So they had all these large athletes trying to play pickleball. It's hilarious, but we help coordinate that. Being hired by schools to come in and help start a club.
All the time.
Help,
Yes.
or
We do a lot of
neighborhoods. I mean, we
training.
have a big fundraiser at one of the schools here in town that we're bringing out 16 temporary nets. We'll help them tape the lines down on their tennis courts, and they're doing a alumni fundraiser. By the way, I need to let you know on that so you can help with it.
Okay, got it.
It's
That's
your
one of the
competitive school.
things I enjoyed about being able to start this company, because outreach was very important to me. Community service was a big part of my life prior to here. And we at least 4 or 5 times a year, outside of the companies that come in to rent our facility, we host our own benefits, whether it be Parkinson's, cystic fibrosis, the Humane Society, breast cancer. And our members are just amazing. I mean, we can raise thousands and thousands of dollars in goods and funds for those events. So it really is nice to be able to take your passion, but also be able to give back to the community. They've been very good to us, and we love to return that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, we usually ask folks about suppliers that you really enjoy working with. So are there any suppliers that stand out to you?
Suppliers meaning
Vendors?
Yeah.
pro shop
Any
type
vendors?
thing.
I mean,
vendors?
Yeah.
For example, you mentioned you work with people who run tournaments. So vendors, any people like that.
I
comes
can
into it.
Well,
start
I'm,
with
I'm going. I'm
software,
going to. I'll start with on what I'm doing, but most of the day-to-day operations, dealing with vendors, dealing with suppliers, dealing with pro shop. That's Lisa and her team manages. My supplier background all has to do with the contractors. We building the facilities. We use Sportmaster for all of our resurfacing. One of the things that when we first started out, we could not. I'd like to just take 1 second because this is I wanted to get this in. When we were going to build our first facility here, the biggest decision was what kind of flooring to put in. And I don't know what else you guys are seeing around the country, but because we started our facility on volleyball courts, on what we call a tarquette volleyball floor that we did, it's cushioned volleyball floors with vinyl covering that allowed for comfort. And with a lot of tennis players play on clay because asphalt hurts their knees, my wife being one of them. It's bad. It doesn't give you much shock absorption. Well, what's happening with a lot of the tennis facilities and a lot of the pickleball facilities, they're playing on concrete now because it's an indoor industrial warehouse with basically a few layers of paint on the concrete, and that really just goes through your body, especially if you're playing 3 to 4 times a week or you're an instructor on the court. You may not feel it today, you're going to feel it in a few years. And there's so much studies been done on joints and shock absorption. And asphalt is one thing, you're playing outdoors, it's a lot softer. So it hasn't been a big problem because you've got people playing on asphalt, harder than clay for tennis, but now people are moving indoors, and you're going to start seeing, in my prediction, you're going to start seeing a lot more joint problems because people are playing for so many days. So when we went from our volleyball courts, which our customers loved our volleyball courts, it provided great play, but their joints didn't hurt. So we went to build our first dedicated pickleball court. My wife says, I'm not playing on concrete. We played at facilities that have concrete. And I'm not playing. I'll go play at the volleyball center. And after 35 years of marriage, I figured we needed a solution. So we contacted the Tarquette people that build the volleyball courts, and we contacted Sportmaster and said, can we get your two scientists together? Could we put your product on top of their product? If we just had the 7 millimeters of rubber, could we take your product and put it on top? And they said, probably. So, but their scientists got together and they basically shipped us a roll of rubber. We put it down in one of our warehouses and we put 8 layers of Sportmaster on it. We bounced a ball on it and we said, so what we now have on all of our indoor courts, and we have the comfort and cushion feeling and of an indoor volleyball court with the gritty, sandy, hard surface playability of a real tennis court. And so what we have, I don't know if I got a sample of it here. So this is our floor that we use here, 7 millimeters of rubber with 8 layers of Sportmaster. So what happened is when we went to build our first courts, no vendor. First of all, they weren't available. Everybody's so busy. The second was nobody was going to put it on rubber. So we hired Sportmaster to train us of how to do it. And since then, we do all of our resurfacing. And one thing that I would recommend to people, if you have a maintenance division or you're handy, get trained, because you're going to need to resurface. Most people haven't experienced it, but you're going to need to resurface your courts every 3 or 4 years. So we've resurfaced all of our own courts. So Sportmaster is the vendor that we use. Tarquette is who we use for our rubber. But as far as the actual day-to-day operations of the pro shop and the balls, that's Lisa's world.
That's good. And, you know, it's changed a lot in 6 years, hasn't it? When I first started, there were maybe 20-something paddle companies, and now there are hundreds. So I think when we first started, and as we grew and had more pros come on board, we certainly aligned ourselves with the sponsorships of the people that we employ. But when I look about who I really, truly respect and honor for helping us grow, it would be those companies that have helped us with outreach. Despite their issues, Yola, I could call them, hey, I've got a underserved community looking to start pickleball. Within days, I had 50 paddles in a box sent to us. They've been very kind. Paddle Tech, Selkirk, Franklin, Yola, Holbrook, and Body Helix, our local state brand, have all not only sold well here for us, but have supported us so much in our give backs in our community and our outreach. So that has been nice. And if you look at any market, 3.0 to 3.5 is our bread and butter. And we do carry a lot of demos. We may have 70 demos on our demo shelf, but we don't carry 70 lines of paddles. But we align ourselves with our personal sponsorships and make sure we have everything from your great $99 paddle, you know, to your $300 paddle. But we have relationships with most all the vendors you would be well knowledged of. But I like to give the shout outs to those that continue to help us in our outreach of underserved communities.
I think you brought up a good point about demos. When we, you know, a lot of people buying paddles online, and you know, it's like a car or anything. You want to test drive. You know, if you're going to spend this kind of money, as some of the paddles are, you want to test drive.
Try
it
before you buy.
Our demo program is very, very popular. People come in here for open play or court rental, and we allow them to demo as many paddles as they want. But 2-3 times. Yeah. So they come in there for 2 hours and keep trying. They can do that 2 or 3 times free. After that, was it $5 or something? Yeah. They can, if they still want to keep demoing. A lot of people, you know, you can't keep demoing for 6 months. You know,
the $300.
The $300 paddle, but you can rent the paddle. And so the key is, you know, try and buy. And a lot of people demo the paddles here. They don't buy them from us. They'll go online and buy them, and it's fine. We're not in the business. Our business doesn't depend on selling of pro shop paddles. Our goal is to make sure people have a paddle. We do a lot of resale because people are just switching paddles and they want to put their paddles on consignment or sell them. But
it's maybe 7% of our revenue. But I think what helps is making sure through all of our beginner series, we have a progressive 4-step beginner series program, we make sure we not only educate our customers in those clinics about paddles, but also about shoes. And Babolat, also, I will give a shout out to them, has been great and kind of putting shoes on the feet of our pros here as well. They support us very well in that. But we sell a lot of paddles, I think, through our clinics and beginner series especially.
That's great.
Yeah.
And you guys have developed a product as well that is in the works. Can we hear about that?
I think you're referring to our net skirt. Yeah, a number of, when we first opened and we started going around to a lot of different facilities, we noticed that most facilities we went to, the nets, the pickleball nets, were on the ground, just like tennis nets. They're made 36-inch nets, they're rectangular, and they are on the ground. And there's actually 2 inches bunched up at the bottom in the middle because the net goes down 34. So the nets are catching debris, they're catching leaves and dirt and water, and most importantly, the ball doesn't roll under because nobody ever thought of rolling a ball under until people started developing the portable nets with the bar. And so then the net manufacturers said, hey, instead of making these 36-inch nets rectangle, let's make 31-inch nets. So the Putterman and Douglas of the world make 31-inch nets, but they're still making them rectangular, which means when it sags 2 inches in the middle to 34 inches, there's a sag in the middle of the net. It looks like a smiley face. So now the ball can roll under the net at the edges, but in the middle, it won't roll under, especially when water gets in there on the outdoor nets, sags a little more, and you should be poking holes in the bottom of your nets to let the water drip out. So we noticed that a lot of the courts, most of the courts, didn't give you the ability to roll a ball under. Some of the courts gave you the ability to roll the ball under parts of the way, but no courts allowed you to roll the ball under all the way. We started zip tying the bottom of our net to make it perfectly thing. And so we actually had Putterman net manufactured to design custom nets for us. We bought 200 or 300 of them. They were called ATP nets, a tapered pickleball net. It was actually made to go like this. So when it sags, it's flat in the middle. And we sold hundreds of them, and we've got them on all of our nets. And we thought we were going to be selling, with the new net manufacturer, we're going to sell ATP nets around the world, a tapered pickleball net. Every net manufacturer is a rectangle. Tennis nets aren't. They're tapered. They go like this, and they go down. You ever seen 6 inches of tennis nets sitting on at Wimbledon? No, it's made tapered. What we realized, nobody's going to rebuy new nets. Parks and Rec's not going to buy new nets. Nobody's buying nets. They don't wear out. But we still thought the process of allowing every pickleball net in the world to be elevated, to let us be able to roll the balls under, even if you don't have a bar, how can we change the world to get your nets off the ground, to allow debris and water to go through, to give you the option to roll a ball under, not being forced to hit it or throw it back. So we developed what we called a net skirt, which is basically a perforated piece of material that attaches to the bottom of your net that snaps in place, that basically raises the net off the ground, giving you a consistent spacing to roll a ball. Or if you have a net that sags, it takes the sag out. And even if you already have a net that you've zip tied and it's perfectly good, it gives you branding opportunities. We are noticing you get a lot of clubs will get people to sponsor a court, and it'll be the Coca-Cola court, or it'll be the XYZ court. People are buying net skirts for fundraisers. It's the XYZ fundraising. It's the Beat Breast Cancer, and they use it every year to put on their nets. Or an instructor may get their name on there with their website. When they go to the public park, they pop the net skirt on their net on the court they're playing, and as people are walking by for the next 3 hours, they see their net. But it's giving all clubs, organizations, events the opportunity to brand their net. You'll see at a lot of tournaments, they'll put a sign on the side of the net, which is more distracting for your ATP shot. And you're seeing branding. So our goal is to, it's a new product we just developed. It's patent pending, and we're going to start marketing it here in the near future. And our goal is to be able to look around and see all nets are off the ground, whether they're your local park, your homeowners, your resort, and you start playing like the pros and always be able to roll the ball back on the net. I like to say pickleball players aren't lazy. We just like options. We can throw the ball back to our opponent. We can tap the ball back to them, but we should be able to roll the ball when we want to and not have it hit the net half the time. So that's our new product.
Amazing. Do you have any more questions? Okay. Last question we always ask everybody. What piece of advice would you give someone who looks at your situation and says, I want that? They may be a club owner listening to this or watching this, reading your story and saying, man, I'd love to be there. What piece of advice would you each give them? Maybe one or two things.
I would start with having the passion, and obviously do. If they want to go into it, don't go into it thinking you're going to become a millionaire, but go into it thinking I'm going to be very happy every day for the rest of my time, whatever they decide to devote to that. But also continue to surround yourself with good people from top to bottom. Not only do they need the passion, but they've got to have some personal ownership in that. It's not just a job where I'm coming to work at Pickleball Charlotte from 9 to 5, but my heart is here, my passion is here, and I've got some type of personal ownership in this facility where I want it to be the best it can be.
I think that's good advice. Mine is more from the facility ownership standpoint. I get 2, 3, 4 calls a week from people wanting to know how to get started. What should they do? What would you do different? What would you do? My advice to them always is it comes down to the facility. Without the building, we're talking indoor pickleball. Outdoor pickleball is something that the indoor facilities do when they're doing well. Not something you do as a business model, in my opinion. But you've got to find the right building, and because pickleball itself, in my opinion, is not a huge profitable business. It is a good business that can pay the rent, it can pay your staff, can pay your expenses, maybe have a little bit of money left over, but there's not a huge profit margin in the pickleball. But most of it comes down to the building. Typically, in most situations, a third of your income is going to rent, a third of it's going to labor, and maybe a third of it's going to other expenses, and maybe a little bit left for profit. But the key is being able to find that building. And if the best scenario is in a lot of the facilities you'll look at, the owner of the building is also the tenant of the pickleball, which is our case. So what we do, because we own the buildings, we don't need to make a profit on the business side. We just collect a fair rent. But finding the building that has the right ceiling height, that has the right parking requirements is the biggest. And there's a lot of old tennis centers, there's a lot of old gymnasiums, but the people that are out building the $8 million facilities or signing 20-year leases in strip malls, I'm curious or concerned about what happens as more and more people come into the market, because at some point there will be an oversaturation. One piece of advice that I'd also give, and I'd be careful of who you show this to, I don't understand the franchises. Running a pickleball business is not difficult. You just got to ask some questions to some current owners. The pickleball franchises, I get it. There's large investors. There's a lot of people putting money. But running a pickleball business, I think, is more of a local thing more than a national thing. There are some benefits of being involved in a bigger picture, franchise opportunities, purchasing power, give instructions. But learning to run a pickleball facility, just go around and talk to 5 or 6 business owners. Most of them are willing to share their ideas and their passion, and then just do it. It's not that complicated of a business. It's just pickleball, y'all.
That's great. Well, thank you guys so much. Do you have anything else?
Is there anything else you guys wanted to share?
No.
Just excited to show you some more of our locations.
Yeah, amazing.